So for those of you that don't know, there may or may not have been an assassination attempt on Trump. A guy had an AK-47 at Trump's golf course and was like in a bush. He was bush camping.
It was the Russians.
It was the Russians.
Why do you think it was an AK-47 and not an AR-15 like every goddamn good American should have?
Well, here's the irony, is that both the Trump assassins are fucking idiots for different reasons. One is that this kid was inside of range that should have been an easy shot with an AR-15. And another
How do you miss, bro?
Yeah, and another guy, and how do you miss? This guy is sitting in a bush, 500 yards away with an AK-47, which is way too fucking long of a shot for an AK-47. I mean, like, if you're good and you have a scope and like you can make a 500-yard shot with an AK, but like that's not that weapon's ideal range.
No,
like,
it's like, what do you have, a fucking sniper rifle?
Yeah,
You're
so
half a kilometer out
Yeah.
with an AK. It's like, you better have the perfect motherfucking
yeah,
gun.
he had like a scope on it, but it's just like both of these Trump would-be assassins are just fucking idiots, and it's just like, dude,
God.
be better, man.
Before we get to the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share it to that uncle who's a communist. And if he isn't, he will be.
Don't forget to follow us on Patreon at patreon.com/revolutionary rhetoric. And Revolutionary Rhetoric is an affiliate of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network.
All right, let's get to the video. All right, episode 40 motherfucking 7. Apparently you're not supposed to cuss within the first 15 seconds or 1 minute. I don't go. Fuck you. I don't care.
We'll
Fuck
bleep
you.
it. Oh, okay, we won't bleep it. Never mind. Hey, how's everybody doing? Episode 47. Sorry I couldn't make it last week, but Kanan really held it down with the welcoming the Green and Red Pod on the show. That was super awesome.
Yeah,
I love the thumbnail too, by the way. Of course, just my face coming up. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube. Look at the thumbnail for the last episode 46, where we Kanan welcomed the Green and Red podcast on. Had a really great conversation. The thumbnail was a work of art. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, they're really cool guys. They're like more older, experienced gentlemen, and I felt like you can learn and obtain a lot of wiseness from them. So, yeah, it was a delight to have them on.
Yeah, that was cool.
I hope they want to come. I hope they come on again. So you're.
Yeah, I would love to get a chance to talk to them. I know they're both like academics, and I'd love to kind of shoot the shit with them. And I was bummed I couldn't be there. I forget what I was doing. Oh, there was a scheduling conflict, but I wasn't able to listen to it because it was like over Zoom and it was live. But then I edit the audio podcast, so when I was editing it back, I was able to listen to it for the first time. So it was cool. It was I got to hear it before y'all did, so it was pretty cool for me. I heard it as a listener, same as you guys did, so that was pretty cool. Cool.
That must have been interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I mean, you're a great interviewer. That was cool. You had a series of great questions.
Appreciate it. Those were all come up with on the spot with like an hour before that.
Yeah, no, it was nice. It was cool. I appreciated it. How's everybody doing? Episode 47.
Yeah,
how you doing? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks now. I guess.
Yeah, dude, I am tired. Like,
you went hiking yesterday, right?
What?
You went hiking yesterday?
Hiking? No. So, the funny little quick story. I guess before we fully start the podcast here, my lady just wasn't feeling too good. She's like, I need to get out of the house a little bit. So like, let's go get some coffee. Going on a little drive. Got some coffee and somehow ended up on the bottom of like Mount Pew, somewhere in buttfuck Darrington. Which was like,
I don't know where any of those words are. Mountain Pew?
I didn't even know. I never heard of Mount Pew. But yeah, so we went to coffee, and we went up to like Arlington, which is like above Marysville and Everett. And then if you drive east for like 30, 45 minutes, you end up in Darrington, which is just like maybe 10,000 people, 5,000 people. It's like there's nobody there. There's some cool bars, but there's like literally nothing there. And if you drive like south from Darrington, you go on like a mountain loop road. Yeah, it's called Mountain Loop Road or something like that. And it's all just gravel. And I thought, we were hoping that it would come out the other end, but we were driving for 45 minutes to an hour. And we ended up on the base of the fucking mountains in the Cascades.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're like, and we had no internet, no service, so we didn't know where this ended. I'm like, we can keep going and just risk it.
Keep going.
You know, we turned around after an hour. We're like, dude, we can't. And I was just hauling ass backwards. But later on I looked, and it's called Mountain Loop Highway because it loops down through Darrington around like the series of mountains and into Granite Falls. And then we could have just drove to our place from there. But yeah, that was interesting.
It looked beautiful. You posted a couple things on the on your Instagram.
It was gorgeous. I would recommend driving through there.
Yeah, so that was pretty far north then of you.
I mean, it's not too far north of me. I guess like if you live in Everett.
Yeah, because you're like 30, 45 minutes north of me. So how much further north of you was it?
So if you were to, depending which way you well, the way we went, it was to Arlington would be like what, I don't know. I'm not gonna dox myself. But then from Arlington, you would head east to Darrington, which would be like half hour, and then you would drive south of Darrington, and that would take you like maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then you would enter the Mountain Loop Road, and then that Mountain Loop Road would take you about like an hour and a half to go all the way around.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But it was a great drive. We stopped multiple
Yeah, I
times.
wouldn't be down. I mean, I wouldn't be like not down to do that. That sounds
Yeah.
fun.
Just grab coffee and just talk as you're driving. And
Yeah.
just stop multiple times.
Yeah,
to
me and
see
my
the
wife,
scenery.
we both have the weekend off this weekend.
That might be a great little excursion there.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to politics, economics, and why we all want the Earth just to be hit by a meteor already.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Well, I was trying to defend. I was like, well, I don't want that, but then I was trying to come up with a valid reason why I don't want that,
that's
and
kinda nice,
I got nothing. I got absolutely nothing.
Eternal sleep sounds great sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't.
Well, let's start with what do you want to start with? Let's start with the Seattle news. We got two pieces of Seattle news.
Let's go for a little local here.
Yeah. So we promised this was going to be like a Pacific Northwest podcast, and then we literally have never once talked about local news.
But there's not much that happens, you know.
Yeah, at least nothing that like people in our one listener in Belgium or whatever
Yeah.
cares about. But two things have happened. One thing we didn't have on the notes, but it's the Boeing strike, which we totally forgot about. We should talk about the Boeing
actually,
strike.
we should.
Yeah.
I'll talk a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I don't know much about why they are striking.
It's-
All I know is right outside my work, as I'm driving down the street, there's like 40, 50 people just waving their flags and burning barrels and shit. I'm like, I wish I had the day off right now. I'd literally come here, grab this camera, and go interview them.
Yeah, they have. So they're set to schedule more talks. I think it was this morning as it happened. I think they were set to schedule talks this morning, Thursday maybe. I think I heard that on the radio yesterday on my way to work. But yeah, it's just a bunch of machinists. But it's quite a few of them. I think it's all told, it's like a couple tens of thousands. I should say not a couple, but tens of thousands. And interestingly enough, Boeing is already firing all of their they're going on this big marketing campaign. The executives of Boeing are going on this kind of like PR push, saying that they're cutting their own salaries because they don't want to come out of the strike on the back foot. So they're saying like they're cutting their own salaries and they're laying off non-union positions or whatever. But if you actually look at the fine print, it's just they're just laying off the lowest non-union people. The way that they're making it sound is that they're like temporarily furloughing their own like upper management people to save money. They're not. They're just like they're just fucking over the non-unionized part of their lower scaled workforce.
They're just kind of twisting words just to make just have media not criticize them, I guess.
Yeah, today was the 7th day of the striking. It's 33,000. I thought it was 50, but it's 33,000 it's the International Association of Machinists. Its totaling has already apparently, according to CNN, has already cost the company $572 million. And the pace of losses will climb rapidly if there's no settlement. As soon as the second week of the strike, said Patrick Anderson, the founder and president of the Michigan research firm, which experienced estimated costs of yada, yada, yada. I'm just reading from a CNN article here. So they're saying like this will just only keep it'll grow exponentially, the losses, the longer the strike goes on. I thought they were supposed to talk today, but maybe it was Tuesday that they're gonna start to come together for.
Are you available one of these days, like on a Wednesday? Are you available Wednesday by chance?
No, I'm never available Wednesdays anymore. Not for this semester.
Shit.
Yeah, I mean I get off work at 5, so.
What about Thursday for our episode? Do you want to go down there and interview them?
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, if they are still protesting next Thursday, I would like to go down there and do our episode on the road. What do you think about that?
That'd be great. Yeah.
On the road episode, we'll talk about things.
Talk to some people.
Yeah, talk to some people. We'll also talk in the car while we're driving. I'll film.
Oh yeah, we do. We have those lavalier mics.
Exactly.
We can
Man,
just
I can
record
finally use them.
Yeah, we'll put a little GoPro in the dash.
Yeah,
like a what do you call that? Comedians getting cars and coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
But not
Something
with
like,
not with
that
a
sounds
pedophile.
like fun. All right.
Yeah.
I get off at 3:30.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah.
I get off at 3:30 as well.
Perfect.
Yeah, but except I work in West Seattle, so it'll be like an hour drive for me to get north.
Okay.
But
should I meet you somewhere, or do you want to meet?
Well,
me?
let's find out where they're going to be like picketing.
They're picketing in front of Boeing, which is like right next to my work.
Oh, okay. I don't know where that is, but don't dox yourself. Let's talk off air, because I'll meet you up because that's
Well,
up near.
well, there's a lot of businesses going
Yeah, I'll
on.
just meet you up near there.
Okay, sounds
I'll
good.
just I'll stop off here, or maybe that morning I'll take the gear to work and I'll just go straight home or
Okay.
go straight there, so I don't have to stop off at
Sounds
home. I
good
can
to
just
me.
hop on the 5 and head up.
If they're still picketing.
If they are, which
Yeah.
I don't know. So they Boeing and the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers held 2 days of discussions in the presence of federal mediators. This was on Tuesday. They said the union was frustrated with the first day of mediation, and late on Wednesday, it had concluded another day of talks with no meaningful progress. There are no additional dates scheduled for talking for mediation. So as of right now, there's not even a day of. This is as of. I think this is as of today. This article came out. This is I'm now reading from a Reuters article. I moved over because I was getting ad blocks on CNN. What they're asking for is a 40% raise over 4 years.
That's a decent raise.
Yeah, I guess the Boeing offered them 25% raise, but they rejected it. But at the rate they're going, it sounds like they're going to cost Boeing quite a bit of money. So I would not be surprised if Boeing, kind of met
They'll
them
probably
halfway. They
settle
negotiated
like 30,
a little bit.
33% or something, 35%.
Yeah, so this is what I was talking about. The International Association of Machinists, the president, said that their furloughs and their own cutbacks in salaries, the management saying that they took their own cutbacks in salaries, he's saying that's, quote, smoke and mirrors, end quote, given that the earlier company spending on how much bonuses and compensation they give their top executives, like how many millions of dollars they give themselves bonuses when they say they're going to cut their own salaries as like a show of good faith or whatever. That's just
Sorry, guys,
you're not going to get your
bonuses
$15 million bonus this quarter, but you're only going to get a $10 million bonus this quarter or whatever. It's like, that's not a real thing. So like,
yeah, go fuck yourself.
So anyway, that's the first piece of Seattle news. That story was kind of not well prepared because like as you were speaking about your trip around the mountain, I remembered this happened. I saw like that happened, like I saw that news article like 2 days ago that Boeing strike, or maybe 3 days ago that Boeing went on strike. And then this morning I saw, or it was yesterday actually, I saw my second piece of news for Seattle, which is the soap and soda laws passed in Seattle, in the Seattle City Council 8-1. And what the soap and soda laws are, they're basically called stay out laws. So it's stay out of it's basically stay out for prostitution and stay out for drug activity is what the soap and soda laws kind of like mean. It essentially means that they've like cordoned off sections of downtown Seattle, around the University of Washington and around North Seattle, not far from where I live. They've designated these areas of what are called like stay out areas. So essentially it gives police free reign to kind of trespass, I guess, for lack of a better word, or just bar entry to certain like parts of the city, people that are either prior convicted for drug or prostitution, or suspected of drug and prostitution. And it's that suspected of that allows police to basically stop and frisk anyone that they deem could be in any way in the drug trade, either buying or selling, or in the sex trade, either buying or selling.
So there's two things with this. I feel like, one, how does one even know that they're there? Like, right?
Yeah.
Like, how hard would this be to enforce?
Incredibly difficult.
Also, like, I don't know if there is some sort of like right or like a legitimate claim to be like, I have the freedom of travel in the United States.
The Fourth Amendment grants you the freedom of travel freely, right, without being like molested by a law enforcement agent. Essentially, I mean, it says a lot more than that, but there's other stuff like that. But I mean, there's like it's a search and seizure, but it in theory grants you the freedom of movement. And so that's what some people are saying. Like immediately, like there's clear constitutional like boundaries that are here, because you can't just like, on paper, legally speaking, there's nothing wrong with wearing like a bikini or a thong and like waving on a sidewalk to passing cars, which is like, if you've ever driven on Aurora Avenue North in Seattle, that's what you see. It is essentially like an open air sex market. There's prostitutes all over the street. And now I'm not saying that I support this type of prostitution, because a lot of them are there are proof there is evidence that a lot of them are trafficked, like there is sex trafficking going on. Most of them some of them appear to be underage, like they definitely like don't look like they're 18 years old. So it's like it's pretty sad. It's like I am in no way supporting just street prostitution. However, legally speaking, it's not against the law to wear a bikini and wave to cars on a public sidewalk, right? You're on public property. You have freedom of expression in this country. The First Amendment allows you to wear whatever you want in public within decent exposure laws reasoning. So like you can't then say, I find you guilty or suspected of prostitution, and then you can't then be like shoved off and just like arrested or moved somewhere else. And here's the fucked up part: is this if violation of these soap and soda laws come with a year in prison and like I think a $5,000, I think $5,000, 364 days. I think it's actually 364 because there's like if it's a year or more. That would be a felony, but it's technically a misdemeanor, so it's 364 days in jail and and a $5,000 fine. Man. So they're basically like heavily like criminalizing drug use and suspected prostitution, and this is going to wreak havoc.
This is their way to end homelessness.
Yeah, it's not
to end homelessness. Jesus, this is their way to kick the can down the road.
But like, where are they going to go? That's the thing. Is like, yeah, I don't disagree that in these neighborhoods, drug and prostitution. If you ever gone to like downtown, like Pioneer Square, or whatever, or like Cap Hill or U District or whatever. Yeah, there's a problem with drugs and like drug activity in downtown Seattle and in these neighborhoods in Seattle. I'm not denying that, but just like shooing them off the corner isn't really, and then heavily criminalizing it isn't the act. And in fact, this passed the city council 8-1, and that one lone voice, I should have her name, Councilmember Kathy Moore. She represents North Seattle. She was like really outspoken of like there has been like decades long data that suggests that this doesn't help anybody. It only affects, it like negatively impacts poor people of color, like people who are already dealing with substance abuse, mental illness.
Who are those other 8, man? We need to.
It's just it's all under this new fucking not district attorney. It's the city prosecutor. Like the new city prosecutor in Seattle is like a huge like law and order person, and like that's the direction.
Of course,
that's the direction they're taking this. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this out. If you don't live in Seattle, this won't fucking mean anything to you.
It will because hear me out.
But this goes hand in hand with like what California did with or that Supreme Court ruling from Oregon.
This is just states finding out, and not just states but cities, basically working around or trying to work around current laws to get rid of homeless people, and not just homeless people, but like, prostitution in general. But my one of my biggest problems with this is what the fuck constitutes or gives the cop power to be like, this person did this.
Yeah, well, here, listen to this quote.
This can be such an abusive amount of power that they have, because if you're stopping, first of all, is stopping and frisking not illegal? Is that, I'm pretty sure that shit's illegal.
No, it is. It's a Fourth Amendment violation.
Okay, but So if they don't know who this person is, they can't stop and frisk them, right? So how the hell would they know if they have a prior
conviction? It's a circular logic. Yeah, it's
you do not have to give your ID.
100%.
You don't have to give your ID to anybody to prove who you are if you have not done a crime. If you have not committed a crime.
Yeah.
So if you have not committed a crime.
And that's the thing is, right? Like it's a pretty slippery slope, because if you're just standing on a street corner wearing a bikini, that's not committing a crime. But therefore,
this is a problem for other people in other cities in the U.S., because if this does somehow take control and it does somehow work by kicking homeless people out of the city, other cities are going to be like, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
And this could be coming to your town. This could be coming to your city soon enough. But I really think the state court might shut this down, or this might be going all the way to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I would imagine like the first person who like gets, because the ACLU has already been watching this. The ACLU of Washington previously sent a letter to the Seattle City Council warning that the ordinance would, quote, not only cruelly target our most vulnerable populations and expand police powers to harass our neighbors, end quote, but also that the proposals would criminalize poverty and substance use disorder, which is true. And then the ACLU also went on to say that it has, quote, serious constitutional concerns, end quote, which is kind of what you're talking about. It does. It's criminalizing an appearance of crime rather than crime itself.
It's kind of like the whole thing is like, your car smelled like weed, so now I have a probable cause to search your car.
Except that's been overturned. I think certain circuit courts, certain district courts have also now kind of gone back on that, of which, because that used to be the thing, is the cops would just say, pull you over, and whatever they thought, they could just say, I smell an odor, and that just gave them
probable cause. What I'm saying is, you look like a prostitute, so now there's probable cause.
But hold on. So the problem is that in states that have legalized weed, circuit courts and district courts have now ruled that like the smell of odor of marijuana is no longer probable cause anymore. If it's legal to go to a store, buy weed, and take it home to smoke it, then therefore a cop pulls you over and smells weed, you say, okay, so what? It's legal. And then they say, no. So that's saying I smell an odor of marijuana is no longer PC to search a car.
Yes.
So that's where this
in the state where it's legal, it's not legal everywhere.
But like it is always legal to wear a bikini on the street or to be on the sidewalk, public sidewalk, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like you can't criminalize first and fourth activity.
I know, but they can lie. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Is like there's nothing stopping them from being like, I saw her talking to a person in a car, and that
That's fair.
leaning over the car in a bikini, and that gave me probable cause to be like, that is a prostitute.
Yeah.
That is not only illegal, but now illegal in a sense where you're literally going to get prosecuted by the law by getting stuck in jail for 364 days.
Yeah, but
God
here's the
knows
thing.
what fine.
I think the first time that happens, the person needs to refuse. So cop walks up to you. The first thing they always say is, I need to see your ID. And you say, for what crime? And they say, for prostitution. It's like, I am just standing here on the sidewalk. That's not, or that's not suspicion of a crime. They refuse. They get arrested for refusing to ID. And then that's when you basically either sue or fight those charges, and that's when it would. I think the first time that happens, it goes to the Supreme Court, or at least it goes up to like the Court of Appeals, the Washington Court of Appeals, the District Court, and then it could potentially make its way up to the Supreme Court case of because this is very just vagrantly, obviously unconstitutional. Of
It
just
is,
like
you
you
cannot do
can't just
this.
walk up and ask people, show me your papers. There's no show me your papers law.
In the same way, I don't think they can branch off certain districts. And if I find those images, I'll post them later to give you an idea what those districts look like.
Yeah, I
You
guess
can't
it's fair. We might as well bring them up. Yeah.
You can't branch off districts like this and be like, this place you're not
Arbitrarily,
allowed.
yeah,
It's almost like segregation.
It's
like, in a way.
it's essentially just like a weird redlining style of where you just, I don't know, it just feels very strange of
It was in the other article.
Okay, so if you're watching, here is the different zones. So it's downtown, the Soda neighborhood, the International District. I guess this is just
Ann Davidson, city attorney.
Yeah, that's it. She's the city attorney. I don't know what I called her last. Whatever
Attorney General.
Yeah, it's whatever she is. She's the new city attorney. She's the one who's all gung ho for fucking for law and order. So this is downtown. I mean, and to be fair, these are some of the heaviest. This Pioneer Square downtown. I mean, this is where if you walk down there are just people shooting up or just smoking fentanyl in the street, and you have to kind of step over them. So I understand that drug abuse in downtown Seattle is a problem.
We agree that it's a problem and that it exists. What
this
we don't agree is this is not the fucking solution.
Yeah. And then what's not listed here, this is all for the soda, the drug abuse laws. The soap laws is for prostitution, which is not here. But
this is just to give you an idea.
Yeah, that just gives you a point. It's just how they're arbitrarily targeting very specific neighborhoods. This is only 3 square blocks.
Yeah,
or, I guess 4 square blocks.
They're doing that on purpose. They know where these people are.
Yeah, but if you've ever been down to 3rd Ave on downtown Seattle, between Battery and James or whatever, or whatever that street is. I can't tell what street that is, but whatever. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Sure, I understand that it is bad. But
this is not.
But this isn't the solution. This only, disproportionately harms.
Correct.
Low-income people,
and
people
it also
with mental health
gives
abuse,
a bunch
mental
of
health disorders. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also just gives a lot of fucking problems. It gives a lot of power to people that they shouldn't have power.
Yeah, it gives just more power to the police, which is the last thing you ever want, especially American police. Which I guess we can briefly pivot and talk about the New York City subway shooting real quick.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, why not? It's just because we're talking about the power of police. Anyway, that's fucked in Seattle. We'll see how that goes out. It has it was passed, I think, Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning. It was passed early this week. It's going to go to the mayor's desk for signing, which by all accounts he will, and then it'll go into effect 30 days after he signs it. So it'll be in effect mid-October, give or take. The soda law. Anyway, the New York City subway shooting. I saw this. This came to my attention because I saw a tweet from not Eric Andre, the comedian. Eric Adams. Mayor Eric Adams is he was tweeting about something. He posted some tweet about how one of our brave officers in the NYPD was shot in the line of duty, and whatever. But as it turns out, that cop was shot by another cop because someone in the New York subway jumped a turnstile, one of the fare. I think they're called turnstiles. He jumped a fare. He didn't pay a fare. I think it was I think what I saw, the figure I saw was $2.30 or $2.80, somewhere around that is the amount of fare he stole or whatever. Yeah. So another cop apparently pulls his weapon and just fucking starts lighting up the subway. He hits a cop. And apparently he hits 2 other civilians, one of which is now has brain damage, I think, and is in critical condition in a hospital. A random civilian, because this one guy jumped the turnstile. And I don't know, the details are a little sketchy. Apparently the man who jumped the turnstile had a knife and refused to like I don't know, refused to stop or whatever. Yeah, he was not shot for evasion. He was shot because he had a knife. So like, it's just.
And he will hold up. And he went after the police officers.
Wait, where did it say that? Oh, he was not shot for. Oh, so this is what Mayor Eric Adams said. Who is the Democratic mayor of New York, who was also a former police officer.
Defended the officer's response.
Yeah. Oh, he
was not shot for fair evasion. He was shot because he had a knife and he went after the police officers.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Somebody jumped the turnpike. So the officer said stop. He pulled out a knife and ran towards the officers. Who the fuck believes that, dog?
Yeah, that's not true. By all accounts, I have heard that not being the case.
Who the fuck? Yeah. Let me just like the police officers threatening me, so I'm gonna pull out my knife against his gun and run at him. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on. The footage shows a train pull into the station as the confrontation escalates. The officers fired tasers at the man to no effect. He attempted to board the train before he jumped back to the platform. At one point, he was advancing on one of the officers with his knife. The officer stands back. He draws his weapon. Both officers fire at this point.
Yeah. Two bystanders, a police officer, and the suspect were hit. This just kind of goes against the ineptitude of fucking police. But I just thought it was just so funny, like the disingenuous like reporting of the of everybody, and like the tweets from the mayor of like, you know, our brave officer was shot in line of duty and he was shot by another fucking cop. Also, so the bigger story here is that a lot of people have gone to protest in New York because this man, let me pull up his name here. I have it up here.
Mr. Del Peche. 49.
Yeah, Gregory Del Pesci. He's in critical condition. He has undergone cranial surgery. Apparently, he has like some pretty serious, like he has a pretty bleak outlook. He might survive. He probably survive, but like he'll definitely have some.
From what I read, it was he was shot in the head.
Yeah. So a lot of people went to protest, and I saw footage of those protests. It's just the police beating the shit out of the protesters. Like the NYPD is charging the protesters in the street and just like, you know, just laying into them and tear gassing them and stuff because it's what police do. So I don't know.
I still don't understand. Like, how's that allowed? You're allowed to protest.
No, you're not. You're allowed to protest when they allow you to protest.
No, I get that.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how they're like, there's people in the street protesting. All right, pull out the fucking tear gas.
Yeah.
It's like, I
just hate cops. Remember what was his name? Dormer, the NYPD officer.
Dormer.
He was an NYPD officer who he tried to file reports or like complaints about the violence and police corruption of the LAPD, and he was fired and like harassed and like blacklisted and like I don't know the full. Oh god damn. Jeremy.
I have no clue what you're talking about.
Dormer, LA.
Oh,
you may have seen this photo because it's always like the only cop, like the only cop who's not a bastard or whatever is this guy.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so this guy
is a while ago.
Yeah, man. This was like in 2012 or something. So this guy was Christopher Dormer.
Holy shit.
Or Dorner. He was I think he was a member of the LAPD or possibly the sheriff's. No, he was the sheriff's department. He tried to like talk about like the corruption in like the LAPD, and he tried to like basically tried to be a whistleblower. He like had a bunch of allegations like against them, and then he was fired for it, for like coming out as a whistleblower. And then he tried to appeal the firing. He was failed, but then he wrote a manifesto and went on a shooting spree and killed a bunch of cops. He killed a bunch of LAPD officers, and then he went on the run. And then while he was on the run, and the only reason I bring this up is because it reminds me of that subway shooting, is while he was on the run, the LAPD were chasing him and attempted to shoot him in his car. And so they lit up cars that they would pull over on the freeway and just light up cars. And they lit up not one, but two wrong vehicles with family inside them. And I guess they weren't even close to like the make, color, or model of his car. The LAPD just went on a fucking shooting spree on the highways, just lighting up cars they pulled over. And it's just like goes to show more of just like the ineptitude and incompetence of American policing. And I guess, yeah, so like there's a whole like section of like, police shooting of unrelated civilians. So like they just pulled over, like they just like fucking laid into this, and then obviously they were all sued, and like they lost a bunch of settlements from all these families that they shot just arbitrarily because they thought it was him. And then like I guess this prompted the LAPD to change their use of force because they were just like openly just like opening fire on civilians because they like thought it might be this guy that they were hunting. So it's just, I don't know. I hate police, and I will never miss an opportunity to talk about either Chris Dorner or police. Speaking of opening up on somebody unprovoked, You want to talk about the assassination attempt? We're just daisy chaining these. Speaking of, the reason I bring that up is because there was we call it an assassination attempt, but this guy Ryan Routh, I believe is his name. He was 58 years old. He was on Trump's golf course, and this is probably old news by now because this happened like a week ago, or over the weekend, I guess. But
so a week ago at the time.
We could go at the time of listening. By the time this come out, it would have been about a week from time of publication of this episode. But yeah, I mean, so like people are calling it an assassination attempt, but he's only being charged with kind of weapons, possessing a weapon while as a felon, and then because he was a convicted felon prior to this, and then also possessing a weapon with scratched off serial numbers. That he had an AK-47 with serial number. So for those of you that don't know, there may or may not have been an assassination attempt on Trump. A guy had an AK-47 at Trump's golf course and was like in a bush. He was bush camping.
It was the Russians.
It was the Russians.
Why do you think it was an AK-47 and not an AR-15 like every goddamn good American should have?
Well, here's the irony is that both the Trump assassins are fucking idiots for different reasons. One is that this kid was inside of range that should have been an easy shot with an AR-15. And another guy
miss, bro.
Yeah, and another guy, and how do you miss? This guy is sitting in a bush, 500 yards away with an AK-47. Which is way too fucking long of a shot for an AK-47. I mean, like if you're good and you have a scope and like you can make a 500-yard shot with an AK, but like that's not that weapon's ideal range.
No, it's like what do you have, a fucking sniper rifle?
Yeah, so
you're half a kilometer out with an AK. It's like you better have the perfect motherfucking.
Yeah,
shot.
he had like a scope on it, but it's just like both of these Trump would-be assassins are just fucking idiots, and it's just like, dude, be better, man.
And it's just like if you read into who this guy was. You'll find
oh my god, he's the worst.
Oh my god, the best way I can put it is how Hassan put it. He called him Lebanon.
Dude.
Yeah, it's just like this.
Well, this guy's politics are literally all over the place.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, but it's just fucking hilarious because he's huge stan of fucking NATO.
Yeah,
the one guy that's like his number one fucking issue is NATO.
Yeah.
It's very much so that he himself went to fucking Ukraine.
Yeah.
And literally starred in what you were called a
It
commercial
was like this ad
battalion.
for the Azov battalion that the AP shot.
The Azov battalion is literally the Nazi battalion.
That's like the
Ukraine.
Nazis. Yeah, it was like this really like he was holding a sign of like good versus evil or something, like end Russia once and for all, which is like pretty like fucking ethnic cleansy vibe of just ending a country. But yeah, the guy is like a total fucking Ukraine chud. Like he's gone to Ukraine. He's posted multiple times of like I will die for Ukraine. He's dyed his hair blue and yellow, different parts. He's just like a weird fucking Ukraine like stan. It's just bizarre.
Yeah. Because the ironic thing is in 2016 he voted for Trump.
Yeah, he was a Trumper for a while. Then he supported Tulsi Gabbard, which is like not very far removed from Trump. He's donated all over the place. He's been politically left and right, or Democrat and Republican, I should say. It seems like the most recent he was supporting of Biden and then Harris, like as of recently.
I mean, the devotion to have go for an assassination attempt when you just switched in less than a decade ago against a guy is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like he's mentally unwell. Like,
no, he is mentally unwell. I saw previous tweets that he's had, and he said things. He's at fucking Zelensky requesting money to get to Ukraine. He has 1,000 people ready apparently to fight for Ukraine.
He's always been like doing like drives to bring in soldiers to like to like raise troops for Ukraine and stuff. He's actually like a crazy person. But also like he fucking will tweet at like Dave Matthews Band and say like you should write an anthem for Ukraine. And he did another one for somebody else. And I was making fun of because like I just make fun of Dave Matthews Band anytime I can, and like he's just like, I don't know, he just ats everybody on Twitter. And it's just
at Elon Musk, dude. at this. I'm like, dude, you like this, nobody's gonna fucking reply to you.
Yeah, his account has since been suspended. We tried to find some of his old tweets, but they've been suspended. But maybe if we Google around, maybe later we can find some to post. We'll look. But I don't know. I just thought we'd bring that up. It is ironic that he's only being charged with like relatively minor weapons charges.
Well, not a single shot was shot
by him. But the reason I said unsolicited like arbitrary shots is that the Secret Service agent that saw a rifle poking from a bush pulled his weapon and just laid into the bush. That's where like shots were fired and shots were heard, and the first news that broke was like shots fired around Trump like ushered to safety while like gunshots are heard or whatever. And I was like, oh shit, there's actually been an assassination attempt. Well, what I found out was the would-be gunman, the guy with the AK, never fired a shot, but the Secret Service just laid into the bush. Like, I guess saw a rifle and just started blasting into the, and it's just like, I don't know, didn't say anything, just shot. I don't know if he actually said anything. That's I shouldn't say that because I don't know if that's true. But as I understood it, he just like saw a rifle, saw a guy, and just started shooting, and then missed.
It'd be funny, a fucking dog just.
Just yeah. Oh, did you see the stat that what is it? 25 dogs a day are killed by police, resulting in I think around 1,000 dogs a year are killed by police.
Speaking of dogs.
Yeah. Are we ready to move on? Wait, what do you have anything with dogs?
Thousands of dogs are killed yearly by police.
Yeah, around 1,000.
Much less than the Haitians, let me tell you.
Oh my
my
god,
dude.
Let me just wrap up the one thing about this bush camper is that he was camping in the bush for 12 hours. Apparently he was camping in that bush for 12 hours just waiting for Trump.
12 hours?
Yeah, and like I guess like I just
he took a shit in there, right?
It definitely. There was like bags. There was a chain link fence. There was like a bunch of bags hanging from the chain link fence with like those like binder clips. And I was just like, I wonder if there's shit in any of those bags.
There's definitely shit in those
bags. Dude. It was just like, imagine just bush camping for 12 hours. You finally have your moment, and then like not realizing that the Secret Service sweeps like a par ahead or a hole ahead of the golf. It was like, I guess Trump was golfing on round 4 or 5. On hole 4 or 5, and he was waiting on hole 6, I think, this guy, and the Secret Service just sweeps a hole ahead, and like just sort of like saw him. They just saw him. They let him on a chase. I guess he was
a fucking dumbass.
They let him on a car chase, I guess, in South Florida, and like they eventually arrested him, and he's alive, which is rare for would-be assassins.
That's funny though.
Anyway, yeah, dogs. Nobody's eating dogs.
No, nobody's
yeah,
eating
I guess
dogs.
we can talk about.
You might be eating cats. Though,
we can pivot to talk about like the overall debate, which was last Tuesday, I think. Honestly, it was pretty uneventful. There was literally nothing substantive that anybody talked about. It was pretty much just an Israeli suck off and like an American military suck off. Like Kamala once again said we have the most lethal military in the world, like kind of hyping up the military. So like just saying talking points that any Republican would have been happy to hear 10 years ago. Kamala was saying now, meanwhile Trump just says like insane nonsense.
Yeah.
I will give credit to the moderators of this debate more so than any other previous debates. They called him on his shit. Like every time he said something insane, the moderators would be like, "That's not happening." Although they didn't push back hard enough because he said that you can get an abortion even after the baby's born, up to like a month after a baby's born or up to a week. I forget what he said.
That's just murder. You can't do that, bro. That's not how it works.
He said you
That's not how it works,
yeah, dude.
Man.
And then the moderator with completely straight faces are like, "There's no reports of that," and it's just like, no, dude, say he's a fucking insane clown. Like, what are you just saying? Well, there's no reports of that, but you continue. You were saying, and it's like, why are you even like entertaining this, dude? And then he said the same thing that he's hearing tons of reports of Haitians eating pets. They're eating the pets, and the moderator was just like,
the dogs.
The moderator was like, there has been no reports of
they're eating all the pets.
Yeah, there have been no reports of pets being eaten.
Oh my!
But like
God,
we're
man.
laughing, but here's the fucked up part. Since that debate aired, there have been dozens of bomb threats and school shooting reports. Schools have had to be evacuated. Businesses have had to be evacuated and closed. There has been a ton of individual and mass violence and mass threat of violence against Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio.
Dude, PETA right now is like not knowing what to do.
Yeah, like, well, it's just fucked up how like they're actually like Haitian lives are actually in danger because of what he said. There was reports of like kids are afraid to go to school because of all the shooting and bomb threats made by these fucking right wing nut jobs.
100%. It's
because they're just
psychopaths.
like because they're just threatening Haitian people, and it's the same thing we saw. What was it in the post 9/11? Like the first person to die in New York in 9/11 was a Sikh because he was just stabbed to death on the street because somebody thought he was a Muslim.
He's got a turban on.
Yeah,
and he's like,
and it's just like Trump says that the Haitians are eating pets, so then you get a bunch of Haitian neighborhoods with bomb threats and threats of violence against them, and like that's kind of the unfunny part of the story. It's fun to make fun of like Trump fucking saying stupid shit like that, but his words do have real consequences, and that's not an endorsement of Harris. So fuck off with that shit. But
yuck.
But
well, that's
just
the other,
saying
on the other side, there's the fucking Democrats that are completely flipping on issues.
Yeah.
Because I think even the moderators got her on this, and I was kind of surprised because back when she was running for president in like 2018, 2019 for the 2020 presidential Democratic primary, she said she did not support fracking.
Harrison?
Yeah.
Oh,
she was
yeah.
not a support fracking
I heard
at
this
all.
one.
And then she replied right now that she has never said that she was not in support fracking. She has always been support of fracking. Blah 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 blah. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, like you were like, so one's a psychopath. The other one is a fucking
just
liar.
A corporate hack liar,
hack liar. And he's just like, these are our two fucking options.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, I do want to go back to for the whole dog cat eating thing. I'm on X unfortunately a lot. Just there's a lot of political
X? You mean
stuff.
Twitter?
Yeah. I'm on Twitter.
Yeah. I
And
continue to as long as Elon's going to be transphobic, I'm going to dead name his
yes,
um
we're on
his
Twitter,
website.
and I saw tweets, right, like there was a tweet initially that took a video of a few Bosnians roasting a lamb, and they're like, I need to report this, like they're eating dogs right now, right? And Bosnian Twitter went fucking crazy. It was hilarious, man. Where like they're taking pictures of like the lamb, because it's a whole roasted lamb on a spit rotisserie.
Yeah, sure. No,
right?
I get it.
And they took a
Sounds
picture,
delicious.
and it's my favorite food.
Yeah.
They took it off the spit, and they're like, this is the best dog I've ever had. They take a
just laying into it. Yeah, so this is just like weird fucking. These are those weird conspiracy theories that just
Oh, it's Blair
spread
White.
on like they get spread on like Rumble and shit and like Truth Social, and then like nobody else really knows about them, and then Trump will say something in public because that's where he lives is on Rumble and Truth Social and shit. It's like only like the super weirdos hang out there.
People are saying.
Yeah. So polling has overwhelmingly shown that Harris won the debate. Like she's kind of crushed it. Interestingly enough, did not matter in the least for national polling in the actual presidential race.
I was surprised.
She did not get a bump whatsoever. It's a dead heat, 47-47.
Her winning, it was his ridiculous statements.
Yeah, I mean, he's just not a serious person that could be taken seriously, and so like
I was surprised that like with those ridiculous statements, the Kamala Harris is what do you say? Kamala Harris is funding sex exchange operations to illegal immigrants.
In the facilities, yeah. And it's just like,
and
what
I'm just
the
like,
fuck?
bro, what? That is the most like complex sentence he's ever said in his life.
The concepts of plans. That was my favorite. When he said he doesn't have a plan, but he has a concept of a plan.
I don't have a plan right now. I'm not president.
I'm not president.
Yeah.
I'm not president.
I have the concept of a plan.
That's fine. Yeah, but no, just like all of the funny
I thought
shit.
about having a plan.
Yeah, I thought about having a plan. I did too, man. I did too. Ugh. Now I have a podcast.
Yeah.
Which is better than a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, the polling is still in a dead heat, 47-47. But I think I'm not surprised actually. You say that, but I'm not, because if anybody was like supporting of Trump or like this, like him saying shit like that isn't what changes your mind. It's like the price of gas is what changes your mind. You've long since accepted that he says dumb shit, or you either tune it out or you believe it. But either way, it's not going to influence you. The only thing that
47% of the country was like still going for that guy.
Yeah, I think 47% either agrees with them, which
polling.
I think I think there is polling to break it down.
I can't think half the
No. There's polling that break it down where it's like 20% of Trump supporters are believe his nonsense and are like, the actual MAGA people. Like 20% are people that are like, yeah, he's kind of rough around the edges, but I'm a Republican, so he's Republican. And then the final like 10% is like, yeah, it's like that's the price of gas people of like, he's making more sense than she is, and they go either way, but they're leaning more toward him. Like I stop every morning for a coffee on my way to work at this little Shell station, and it's owned by this I don't know his ethnicity, so he's just like some Middle Eastern man, and I've gone there for years now, because it's like basically like I go Monday through Friday every morning, and I stop there, and there's like a couple of the other like regulars that get coffee around the same time that I'm pretty friendly with now, like sharing weekend plans and saying and then him as well, the guy. And after the debate, he asked us, he's like, what do you guys think of the debate, and we were just kind of chatting about it, because these are my morning people. We're getting our coffee in the morning, and I have my morning chat with these randos that I now see every day. I don't really know their names, I don't think, but I see them literally every day for years.
It's hilarious. I know those.
Yeah. And then me and the other guy were like, whatever. It does. I told him I didn't watch it, because to be fair, I didn't watch it. I just watched the highlights after.
Pretty much watching the.
And then he was like, who are you gonna vote for, whatever. And we were just like, I'm probably not. I was like, I didn't want to just openly say I was a communist, but I was just like, yeah, I'm not really voting for either one of them, I don't think. And the other guy was like, yeah, I'm not gonna vote, because he just kind of seems apolitical, the other guy. But the clerk here, who's like a Middle Eastern man, he was just like, yeah, I think I'm going Trump, and he is like a Trump guy, and it's just like he makes more sense like economically. And I guess I get that this guy is like a small business owner. He owns a gas station, and like that's my point, is that like he's not a crazy person. He's not like a MAGA QAnon flat earther guy. He's just a business owner, and to him it's a bottom line question, and Trump brings him a little less taxes or a little more tax breaks than Kamala would, and so that's the decision for him. And I think that's actually, we can't lose sight that that's like half of the people voting. That's what they're voting for. And so like all of the crazy shit he says, doesn't really matter to them. It's like that's not why they support him, and it also doesn't turn them off. That's just background noise to them. What matters is like the bottom line, the price of gas, the price of milk, these things that like are perceived to be in control by the president, which largely aren't control of the president. And that's because they don't have a deeper fundamental like understanding of economic theory or like capitalism in general, because like Trump nor Kamala Harris is going to stop inflation or stop price gouging by companies. So like that's a separate conversation, which is like annoying to begin with. But like for what it is, that's why they vote for Trump, good or ill. And like that was just very eye-opening having that conversation with a normal everyday man who is an immigrant, who is like, you would think it would not be in his interest to support Trump, and he's like, no, I'm voting for Trump. He like earnestly, and it was like, yeah, it was kind of a toss-up, but in the end, I think I'm going Trump. And I was like, damn.
You save your $5 on gas every fucking week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but you know, you'll be driving all the way to the fucking border when he deports you, unfortunately.
Yeah,
just,
I mean,
it's like,
it's just crazy.
I just don't understand still. Like, no, like I understand their whole theoretical aspect of like why they're picking him. I just don't understand how they cannot see any further.
100% than the money.
This guy, you know, this guy like literally fucking hates you, right?
Yeah.
You know, the people that back this guy would literally lynch you, right?
100%. Yeah.
But the $5 on gas, that makes all the difference this week.
Yeah, like it's just crazy. That's short-sightedness, but like that gets us into like a deeper conversation of like the lack of like material understanding of like Marxism and capital, and the contradictions within capitalism. And it's like it's neither Harris nor Trump that are going to save you in the end. It's you know, pushing back against capitalism, but that's, you know, I can't very well have that conversation while I'm buying my Hostess donuts and my coffee in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I've talked about my op before, that guy at the coffee shop. I think I've talked about him on the podcast before, how he's always there at the same time and he's so slow getting his coffee, and I'm always like waiting for him, and he just like pumps his coffee and he just stirs his coffee, and it's not a big enough little like area for two people.
Yeah, the way.
And like I like do it in a way where I grab my coffee sleeve and lid, like, and move out of the way, dump my creamer and sugar in, and then like I do it very efficiently so like anybody else can like get in.
Yeah. And
he will grab a cup, do his creamer, get coffee, stir it for a while, go back, grab a lid, go put it on, go back, grab a sleeve, put it on, and meanwhile I'm just sitting there like looking at my phone, like late for work, like, dude, let's go. And it happens every day for years, and I'm like, yeah, basically every day he beats me like by like a minute, and I'm just like, this guy is my op, this guy is my actual op. Like it's just funny because I'll have a friendly conversation with him, and like it's just so funny. I talk about this guy a lot to my friends and coworkers and stuff, because he's like, he lives in my head rent free. This random guy. He's kind of, I don't know, he's a little off, dude.
I know, I'm just fucking with you. Please don't bring him on the podcast.
I'm not gonna bring this random guy.
I was talking to my brother-in-law, and I was like, well, I need to bring you on the podcast because he's like, he's, you know, sort of apolitical. I guess he would be like left-leaning slightly. Yeah. But he's like an amateur stand-up comedian.
Oh, that'd be great, man.
I would love to bring his pick his thoughts, because he's done amateur stand-up. He's also had a YouTube channel before. He has
cool, man.
An Instagram page with like 10K followers.
That's really cool.
He's fucking funny as fuck. But I think it'd be funny to like get his apolitical sense on like.
Yeah, as like an everyday man kind of thing. Yeah, because we forget that like we're hyper online and like. Not hyper online, but we're just hyper political, and like, you know, we've read actual like political theory and economics. Like I think everything is political. It's like that's like the joke of like, once you become a Marxist, the world sucks, because you see it's like everything is depressing and you just see oppression everywhere.
Everything is material.
Everything is material, like, and everything is this scramble for just like, you know, king of the hill, and it's just like it ruins your worldview. Yeah,
it reminds me of, it's like when chemists, when you read enough about science and chemistry and just figure out every single motion that you have is just like
a chemical imbalance.
Not just chemical imbalance, but like a certain like a genetic predisposition for your body to shoot out certain chemicals at certain times.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in love. It's like, nah, it's just
serotonin or whatever.
Serotonin, oxytocin, releasing into your brain, causing you to feel this way. You're just like it kind of ruins it.
That's why I just eat chocolate all day, man. It's like, well, isn't the stat like when you eat chocolate, it releases the same like whatever endorphins that like heroin does. Yeah, dopamine that like heroin does. Like it's the same. I think it's the same like part of the brain.
I've never done heroin, but I know.
No, I don't think. I'm not
I've
saying.
I've never been on the ground about to pass out.
I'm not saying the reaction is the same, but I'm saying the brain chemistry.
Yes, it does
is
shoot
the
dopamine
same.
Now.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of that has to do with how much sugar is actually in a chocolate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't eat
sugar itself is like it's very addictive, and it.
My birthday was last week, and my wife got me.
I heard, man.
Yeah.
My birthday.
Oh, thanks, man. I don't think you texted me, but I don't think I texted you back.
I think
Maybe I
texted
did.
you. I texted
Yeah, I know you texted me about it. I'm saying I don't know if I texted you back. Anyway, my point was my wife got me like this bag of like one of the gifts she got me was this bag of like really like nice little chocolates, and it was like high end like dark chocolate, and there some of them are like mint, some of them are caramel, whatever.
You know what that means?
Yeah. What?
Dark chocolate and aphrodisiac.
Oh, sure. Yeah, and then she got the flu, so yeah, she had the flu over my birthday. Oh no, she worked nights over my birthday. I didn't see her over my birthday. She was working nights.
Oh, dude,
She worked 16-hour-ish shifts overnight. I didn't see her for like 8 days straight because she would be she would have to go to work like right as I was getting home. And I would have to leave for work the next morning before she came home.
Dude.
Yeah, so she was actually worked overnight for my birthday, so I just kind of
Bro,
well, I had
hit me up. We could have went and bar hopping.
it was late last minute, so
we still need to go bar hopping.
I had other things. Chocolate food. I don't know what I'm looking this fucking. This is an article from an NIH article from 1999 actually. So I think my like.
Oh my god. Well, speaking of other things from 1999,
pagers. Dude,
yeah,
we're so good at this.
They went boom, unfortunately, in this in the country we call Lebanon.
You should have a Segway slide, like a Segway swipe.
Segway swipe.
Or just somebody driving by on a Segway. Every time we do that.
I like
Speaking
it.
of,
I can do that.
Speaking of, and then the next. So yeah, sorry, pagers, Hezbollah. This is actually not funny because this is fucked up.
Yeah, no.
This is actual fucking terrorism. It's against like a lot of like international laws. You're not allowed to use booby traps. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, sorry I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, I was just gonna say pagers. Who uses pagers? Realistically, nobody, right? Wrong. People that use pagers are people like
my wife.
Yeah,
my wife
doctors.
is a pager. Yeah.
People that work in like ambulances. Some cops use pagers.
Yeah, a lot of people still use pagers. A lot of government.
Workplace. Workplace people use pagers because they're not tracked. Like cell phones can be tracked. Information that is sensitive information cannot be tracked.
They're also somewhat. They are still efficient for like sending like quick messages to people too. Like arguably not over a cell phone, but if you can't always have a phone, it is convenient to have a pager because they are very low tech. It's just. But it also isn't just pagers anymore. It's also the second wave of explosions detonated today.
There's a second wave?
Oh, yeah. A whole second wave was exploded. It was also a bunch more stuff. And it's not pagers. It's actually lithium batteries because it was...
well, the pagers had lithium batteries inside.
But also there was like solar panels.
Okay.
I forget what
else.
Let's
break it down for the people that don't know yet. Okay. So basically what happened was... the IDF or Israel or whatever the fuck you want to call it somehow intercepted a bunch of pagers... containing lithium batteries that are already inside that were going up to Hezbollah. And they basically... it
wasn't today. It was yesterday. The second wave was yesterday.
Okay, yesterday. They planted something that would be able to basically heat up the battery and then basically instantaneously, which would explode the pager. These pagers were handed out not only to Hezbollah members who are known to use pagers, but also anybody that got their hands on them. Doctors. I mean, a fucking child died. A
second child has died now, too.
2 children are now dead. From I don't know how
one
many
of them was a 9-year-old girl. I don't have the details of the other one.
Correct.
There are tons of videos and like maybe like
20 people killed and over 4.
No, that's way outdated. As last I saw, it was pushing over 40 people have killed because I guess every operating room, because it's like you can't imagine like a countrywide like let's like set the scene here is like this was a mass terror event of like thousands of pagers across the country, and now it's not only just pagers, it's now solar panels, walkie-talkies, anything that basically has a lithium battery in the country of Lebanon basically exploded on people's hips and people's pockets, on people's desks or whatever. And so that shrapnel is indiscriminate, and that those explosions are completely indiscriminate and arbitrary of targets, right? So this is a mass terror attack across the country of Lebanon. Apparently, like there, like ambulances were just scrambling all over Beirut, not Beirut,
Beirut.
Yeah, and and like all of the operating rooms are in use because there's there's surgeries happening constantly all over the country. Like
they basically castrated 40,000 people. Not 40,000.
Not 40,000, but I think it was at a certain point the attacks was over 3,000 devices.
Yes, so like
and there are tons of security footage. There's security footage of just people like there's a bunch of them in a checkout lane of grocery stores, and it's just on a desk or whatever, and then there's just an explosion, a bunch of people fall. There's just like there's tons of CCTV footage of just like all across the country, just explosions happening. It's just like the most like egregious and wild. And the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, I think his name is, he went out and gave a statement, and he's just like, this is so far over any like line of like human decency or whatever, because this is just indiscriminate terrorism. Like, Israel is a terrorist state.
Imagine, imagine you're setting the scene again. Imagine you have a pager and you're on a fucking plane in the middle of the goddamn sky. Yeah. The pager blows, a hole in the plane basically blows open.
Yeah, all the airlines.
350 people fucking perish.
Yeah, I don't think anything were on a plane that detonated, and my guess is because like radios would have been cut off at that altitude or whatever, if because like surely the like law of averages said that one of them had to have been on a plane. But regardless, all of the airlines in the region, Lebanon, Jordan,
bus
whatever,
crashes the bus.
Yeah, there were a bunch of cars that were kind of that were hit, but a bunch of airlines are no longer allowing kind of any low tech. They're not allowing walkie talkies or pagers or anything on the planes anymore, which is fair, I guess.
Regardless, the point is like the explosion is not. The explosion is not specific. The explosion happens everywhere and anywhere, and it'll take out children. It took out women, innocent people. If it was one thing that they had the exact pagers or whatever that were going out to Hezbollah, and they killed all or whatever the Hezbollah people. First of all, that's fucked, right? Second of all, that's not what happened. Random innocent people had these pagers. For fuck's sake, children died.
Yeah. Do you want to watch this?
Sure. I want to say one thing. If we flip this around and we said, what if Hamas sent this to the IDF and this many people died or were injured in Israel, they would say it's one of the biggest fucking terrorist attacks.
100%. This would be like completely. We would American boots were already been on the ground if this was like something that happened in Israel.
Exactly. But instead, the American media is turning around and calling it a very sophisticated and an intelligent plot to take out Hezbollah members.
Yeah, and Israel has yet to say anything. Also, you know what they're saying is, what if Putin does this? They've already like. They're recognizing that it's bad, but not saying anything
was
bad
about
it.
Commie Central? I saw Commie Central's tweet, and it was basically like, the West conducts terrorist attack of exploding thousands of pagers, killing a servitude of people, and the West turns around and says,
like, how can Putin?
I was like, so this is what China can do in the future,
right? Yeah, and so like they recognize that it's bad, but not bad enough to like.
If we do it, it's not bad. Yeah. When they do it, it's terrorism. Go fuck yourself. I don't know what else to say. This is literally just evil.
Yeah, this is awful. Do you want to watch this short video? Yeah. It's a minute and a half. Apparently, this is on CNN's website. I think it has some of the clips of the explosion, so we can you can see what we're talking about if you're on the video version.
Let's do it.
Hours after thousands of pages exploded across Lebanon, another wave of explosions, possibly smaller, possibly 30 to 40, half of which were in the southern suburbs of Beirut, controlled by Hezbollah. Another wave of blasts.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so this was after the initial wave.
From wireless devices, predominantly walkie-talkies. It seems devices used, according to a Lebanese security source, to use crowd control. Possibly also one detonating at a funeral for somebody indeed killed 24 hours earlier.
Jesus
at
Christ,
one of the pager
dude.
explosions. So another wave of panic, concern, another moment in which the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, normally prided themselves on operational security and their discipline, will frankly be concerned about what communication devices they can indeed use, who they might be trying to reach out to, who is unharmed.
This brings into question like
a moment of panic
security.
For ordinary Lebanese too, hearing another wave of blasts, and another moment potentially too where the finger is pointed at Israel, who publicly said little, but CNN has learned were behind the
it's now been
blasts. Another moment as well.
It's now been confirmed that it is. But Israel still said nothing, but I think it is confirmed now that they are behind it. We know that they're behind it, but they still haven't said anything. And that kind of begs the question is like, how did this happen? Like, how do you get explosive devices into thousands of different random devices, seemingly targeted?
They're gonna have to be devices that people obtained recently.
Yeah,
because if not, somebody would have to physically go to that person's house, take apart the pager, put it.
I saw like it was like questions, like statements put out by like different factories that like manufacture these devices. I think in India and China and different like plants around the world that have all said like we have no knowledge of this, but it's like somebody somewhere sabotage these devices.
It's an insider.
Yeah, like you can't like it's not like they could just like detonate batteries, there had to have been
Well,
explosives
here's the
inside
thing.
these things.
If it's coming from multiple different factories and shit, I don't think it's somebody in the factory. I think it has to do
Like
with
a distribution plant or something after the fact.
It's I would have to say it's like the transportation of it when to get into Lebanon. It has to go through somewhere, right? Where is it going through? It's either going through Turkey, it's going through Syria, or it's going through Israel. So one of the places there was probably a seizure of these materials. All these materials
They're tampered with,
and returned, and you're like, you're good to go. No worries. We thought there was something wrong. There's nothing wrong, and then they flagged them on. But they had a team.
It's thousands of devices, though.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's pre-planned.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think too, like about like these types of like remote detonations. Is like there's got to be a margin for error, right? So if 3,000 plus went off, like how many didn't? You know, like we mentioned, like if there was any in planes or where they lost radio communication, like that didn't get detonated or something. Like how many more are floating out there? I'm sure now that Hezbollah, because it sounds like they have pretty tight security, they would have like surrendered or destroyed any existing non-exploded, or at least inspected any kind of walkie-talkies or pagers or whatever, looking for kind of any explosives device. It's fucking wild, though. It's wild that the lengths that Israel will go to just like kill people. It's just like
zero repercussion.
And then again, zero repercussion. America has said very little, and to like my annoyance, still like countries like Iran and Lebanon really haven't done anything. There have been strikes back and forth. There was another airstrike actually today from Israel to Lebanon. I think another 30 people were killed in Lebanon from an airstrike today from Israel. And it's just like, dude, nothing. And I mean, not nothing. Hezbollah has been striking Israel. I think there's been not a single day for the last 11 months where there wasn't an airstrike back and forth. But still, like, I don't know. If a country detonates 3,000 plus bombs, killing civilians, including children, in your country, like you have to fucking act like you would think, right?
At what point?
Yeah.
At what point is the international community going to step down and be like, all right, enough is enough. We're not going to do anything if there is retaliation.
Yeah.
You know. And at what point are they going to step up and be like, if Israel does something else, we're going to have to fucking step in?
That's the frustrating part, is because that's what I see is like after this, the first reports you see are like, hopefully, like, so like what you see from the international community after something like this happens, after these like this terrorist attack by Israel on Lebanese people, the international community says to Lebanon, don't attack them back. Like you can't, like, you know, if you attack them back, then that'll be provocation or whatever. And it's just like, no, how come you didn't say anything to Israel? It's always like, well, you can't say anything to them. Like you can't do anything, Lebanon. Just make sure you don't do anything back, Lebanon. It's like, well, how come Israel isn't getting a stern talking to?
Or what? That's what they need to start saying. Or what?
Yeah, I agree.
What? What are you? What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah,
I dare you. I dare you to do anything.
I double dog dare you.
I triple dog dare you. Infinitum. Yeah.
Well, that's all we have. I don't know. We'll continue to update this. This is going to be an ongoing story. We'll also I want to stay on top of the soap and soda because this affects me. I work and live in one of these soap areas, and I also do homeless outreach in one of these areas.
Also,
so like
part-time prostitute, if you didn't know.
And I'm also a part-time prostitute, if you didn't know. No, I feel really bad. I go shopping up. There's a Sprouts up there. There's a Lowe's and a Home Depot I go to up there, and I'd like in the Lowe's parking lot in North Seattle on Aurora Avenue. You have to like say no thanks as they come up. The prostitutes come up to your car, and it's always like really awkward because my wife are there, and we're just like, hey, thanks, but no thanks. We're like too polite, you know. And they're just like, they come up to your car, or whatever, and you're just like, oh no, thank you, but thank you. I'm very flattered, but no, thank you. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. It's a mess. But anyway,
it is a mess. I would like to maybe conduct an interview with who the fuck ever is pushing this through. I don't know if we can be able to get.
You know what? But here's what we can do. We can email Kathy Morris because she was the one who was vocally against this. She has data to prove that this doesn't help. I don't know if she'll come on, but we can maybe call her office for an interview, like a phone interview, or just ask her for a statement and read her statement. Like
that would work.
Just
That'd be great.
Email her office. I'll email Kathy Morris statement for an office.
Yes, please.
I'll email Kathy Morris office for a statement because she seems like she's pretty cool. I don't know her. I think she's I don't give a fuck about city council too much. Like I moved to Seattle relatively recently. I've only been here like 14 months, so I'm not really sure. I'm not super clued into like the local politics as much as I am like the bigger stuff. So like 14 months is enough time, I guess, to get it. But I don't know too much about her. Everything.
I don't know much about
The annoying part
Seattle
about
politicians
Seattle,
in general.
Washington politics in general is we're all open primary stuff. Like there's no political parties in Washington, which is really annoying because like nobody is tagged political parties in any election. So like for like governor, there's
You have no clue who they are.
they're partyless. So it's like I don't really know. You have to read their like position statements.
Prefers Democratic Party.
Yeah, sometimes they
prefers
do.
Republican.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. And then if they don't, you have to kind of like read their position statements and try to like find like the hidden language, the nuance of like how pro police is this guy, and it's like it's really difficult to kind of find where these people stand on a lot of issues because we are like a partyless state for the most part, which is fucking annoying. I don't know. When I first moved here, I was like, how do I register to vote? And like, oh, you don't really register to vote. It's like, or you don't. I was like, how do I register with a party? Because I was going to register as like an independent or with a communist party if there was one, and there is not one, and there is no political parties. You don't register as a political party in Washington. In Arizona, it's very much different. Every county you have to register to vote. You have to choose a political party, and your choices are Republican, Democrat, or Libertarian.
Yeah,
there's not even an independent party.
We should get you to run.
No, I mean, I would not be opposed to running for like local office. However, I don't have the time and I'm not independently wealthy. So like I can't quit my job. And I like, you know what I mean? Like maybe when my wife is a successful doctor. My wife is a doctor. She's a resident doctor. When she's an attending, she'll be making a lot more money. Maybe she can float my campaign. She'll be my sugar mama. And I'll run for like city council then. Maybe. Or I don't know. We've known people who have run for city council. We interviewed people who have run for city council, not you as a podcast, but in the Communist Party. Yeah. Maybe this was before you joined, I think.
Yeah.
The first couple months I was here, we interviewed one of the candidates that was running in the district downtown. And that guy had some fucking weird views about what to do with homeless people. He wanted to put all the homeless people on the boats that are in the museum off the coast. There's like, or off the shore, there's like a bunch of boats that are decommissioned, like battleships and stuff that are like old. And he's just like, they're just.
He's like, let's put all the homeless in battleships.
And I think what he thought was, because I guess there are like there's a bunch of bunks and shit on those boats. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of like housing.
Oh my god.
And it's just like, I'm not really sure I like the optics of just like shooing them off onto a floating camp, like out in the water. I'm like, I don't think you thought this through, guy. Anyway,
it's
needless to say,
than fucking criminalizing their existence.
I forget this cat's name. He did not win city council.
That's kind of funny though.
Yeah, he was like CD3. He was like the Cap Hill guy. I think he ran in Cap Hill. I forget his name. I'll have to look him up. He didn't win. And there was another kid who was running in my district who was actually canvassing. He was going door to door. I forget his name was Luca something. He was like a DSA he was a socialist. And his kind of like his thing was he was the youngest person to ever run for city council. He was 19 years old or 18 years old, I think. Anyway, he went door to door, and I actually had him at home, and I like kind of like not grilled him, but I was just like, being politically savvy and like economically savvy, I was just like, so like, you know, tell me about your platform, why you're running, like, you want to run, let's talk, bud. And he was pretty smart. And then he started campaigning for Ty Reed, who's like kind of a DSAer, because he lost that city council position. I don't know what we're talking about, city council race, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I've often like daydreamt about being in like city council. Yes, I would love to one day. I think I'd be good at it, but it's incredibly expensive.
Yeah, it is
prohibitively expensive. Like the campaigns, like yard signs and like TV time and shit. Like it's tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And like you know, for a grassroots campaign like that, like not all of that money is based on donors. Some of it is based on donations, but like you have to be independently wealthy to like take time off work.
Which is, you know, they're saying like if you want to change the system, if you want to be,
that's the one thing
you know, if you want a real democracy, blah blah blah. Is like, okay, if you want to run, you have to be wealthy. So if you're poor, you can't run.
You're not. Yeah.
How are all these?
How is it representative? Yeah.
Yeah. How are all these fucking, you know, representatives so fucking wealthy? I was like, well, only the wealthy can actually run. If not, you have to be a corporate stooge and get paid by corporations to run on their platform. So either you're fucked because the person who's wealthy is going to want the wealthy fucking policies in place. Yeah. And the person who's a stooge is going to want the same fucking policies in place.
Nobody's actually representing working class people in working class interests. By definition, you can't be, because no working class person could be running for office.
Yeah. What was the way that the Soviet Union did it? It was like state run?
Yeah, they were like the Soviet council, so like it was a merit based thing of like it would be like your local kind of community, whatever your village or whatever would be, like you would be in charge of like the council there, and then from there those people who were on previously served on those councils were the only ones eligible to run at like the larger level, and then from there, and then so it just kind of kept going up. So it was like a merit based, like I don't know. It was a pretty egalitarian system of like the only kind of caveat is you had to have had like leadership experience at your local level.
Yeah.
But to get on that local level, it was just, you know, anybody could join those councils, because they were more like, and to be fair, there are like cities in America that still have those kind of like alderman style like council. You know, especially this is usually smaller cities, and they're typically in New England and like the Midwest and New England, where they're smaller cities. Yeah, there's like smaller. I think they're called aldermans, where like they're very small like districts they represent. And like you would absolutely know everyone in your district. Like I don't know like Kathy Moore, whatever her name is, for North Seattle. I live in North Seattle, but like there's no fucking way she's met me or half the people here, right? Yeah, but exactly. In some of those styles of smaller cities, like you do know everyone in your town because it's like 80 people or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, you're on a first name basis and a phone number friend with all of them. So, but I digress. That's a different way of life. That's a New England, small town, Maine or whatever.
Fair enough.
Anyway, that's episode 47. That's it for us. Follow us on our socials. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Revolutionary Rhetoric Podcast, wherever you get your socials. Join us our Discord, Revolutionary Rhetoric Discord. All of the links will be in the description below. Follow us on or support our Patreon. We do have a Patreon with multiple tiers. Half of all money goes to support celebrate Palestinians, the life of Palestinians. I meant support Palestinians. It's the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. It goes to give some food to the Palestinians, children who need it. So definitely support that. If you don't want to support our Patreon, where half the money goes to the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, the link for the Palestinian Children Relief Fund, if you want to just donate directly to them, by all means, we are not offended. If you want to support us as well, we'll take a little bit of that money and just kind of put it back into what you see here. Discord, Patreon, socials. We are a member of the Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network, so shout out the guys on that network. Green and Red was just on last episode. Check out that episode. And we're looking forward to kind of talking to more of those guys. There's the Scope, the 805 Uncensored, Green and Red, Dystopian Grift. There's a bunch of podcasts on that network.
Yeah, we have a couple of people on now that are not podcasters, but we've like expanded into having like journalists and stuff like
Joe
that.
wrote, I think.
Yeah, Joe wrote, and also Anarch Orange.
I'm not familiar with that person yet.
Anarch Orange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they write articles and stuff.
Yeah, so check the link out for them below. Yeah. There's the link tree, I think, for Anarchist, or excuse me, for Anarchist, for Anti-Capitalist Podcast Network is down there as well. Give those guys some love. Give all of us some love.
If you're listening to this on the audio version, please go ahead and give us a review. How many of our stars do you think we deserve? If you're on YouTube and don't want to see our ugly faces anymore, go ahead and go onto any sort of platform you would listen to your audio podcast, and you can find us there.
That is true. Have you seen the movie The Mummy?
Yes, I am a huge fan of Fraser. I'm a huge fan of mummies. One of the reasons I actually go on to get my archaeology degree.
Okay, I saw a bumper sticker today. I was behind this car in traffic. I'll close this out with this thought. I was behind this bumper sticker today, and the bumper sticker says, "Honk if you'd rather be watching the 1999 cinematic masterpiece The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz." That's what the actual bumper sticker said.
You think you're so close to even read that?
So like,
bro, if you're this close to reading that, you're about to die. Like,
no, well, zoom out. So this was me. I was like, "What does that say?" So I took a picture of it, and I was like, "What?" I was
I want that.
I'll get you that bumper sticker,
please.
I just thought that was the most funny thing. All right. Anyway, take it easy, guys.
Take it easy. Bye.